exchange, you know. So that's the first thing. I think this helps to put us on the map a bit, and therefore the recognition of the country, and to take away this old image of Jonestown. Americans only know Guyana by Jonestown, the mass suicide that took place there. So I think it's changing the image, and therefore, if you preserve the forest and its rich biodiversity, then that goes hand in hand with ecotourism. We have our rainforest is bigger than England. We have some of the most advanced biodiversity in the world. I see the job that Costa Rica has done with a tiny forest, but they're good at marketing, and so maybe we need to improve on the marketing side. That is what we need to do. Okay.
Perhaps you should be Guyana, the place where the trees are.
Yeah, yeah.
Which might distinguish you from Ghana. The man at the back holding up the pen.
Thank you very much. My name is Andy Whitmore from Indigenous Peoples Links. I welcome the comments you made on Indigenous rights. It's another question basically on Indigenous issues. And obviously the issue of free, prior, informed consent is essential. And I'm very glad you used the terms Indigenous rights, because effectively Indigenous people are rights holders as opposed to just stakeholders. I would just like to follow up on the comments with regard to the 2006 Amerindian Act though. I think specifically, I mean obviously you've talked about the advanced issues with regard to it, but it has also been criticised by the UN Committee on the Elimination of Racial Discrimination, which raised issues not only with regard to the speed of titling in 2006, followed up by a letter in 2008, but on other aspects of the law. So I wonder particularly whether this can be an opportunity effectively to review the law as a general framework before this is put into place. Sure. And I would really like to follow up quickly on the issue of shifting cultivation, because I do think it's important. And it wasn't answered because it's a supplementary. But I mean, effectively, as I understand it, the MOU regards it as degrading, whereas from the consultation, the call from communities was to ensure that it was sustainableness.
On shifting cultivation, often because whatever we're negotiating with Norway will be done through or has to be compatible with the UNFCCC process. And unfortunately, until now, they treat shifting cultivation as degradation of the forest. I'm hoping that maybe that will change. But since indigenous people don't have to opt in now, they still have options. They can, after weighing those, maybe those factors, they can then make the decision whether they want to be part of it or don't want to be part of it. So, but clearly if you're building an MRV system, you have to build it for the entire country. And that's why it's a national scale MRV system. So we're stuck a little bit with the definition in the UNFCCC process. But from my view, I think this is done in a manner that could be, you know, sustainable. And that point came up at the consultation. Many people raised that, and hopefully we'd get that change maybe, but it has to be changed through the UN system. The Amerindian Act took us 4 years of consultations, back and forth. It's significantly, is it perfect? No, it's not perfect, but it significantly advanced the rights of indigenous people in our country. And but like everything else, you have coastal people, you have, you know, different interest groups in the country. So I think the act was a balance of all the interests, but weighed significantly in favor of indigenous people. So right now, no, there'll be no return to the act now. But if you examine its provisions, it's a light year ahead of any other. Well, most countries. In fact, the gentleman from the World Bank who came down to look at indigenous people's rights said we have the second, he told me, we have the second best legislation in the world. I don't know, he said the Philippines. I think he's from the Philippines, so he said the Philippines has a better one. But okay. But as I said before, it's not perfect, and no, I don't think you can find perfection in everything. But it has moved the rights of indigenous people forward.
Shifting cultivation.
Did you want to say something?
On the shifting cultivation, yes.
Carry on.
Okay.
I think we need the microphone if we can find it.
I would like to say a little on shifting cultivation and what is happening on the ground in some villages, especially in our village or my village where we're doing agriculture. We've stepped in now to organic farming. We're one of the villages that is certified organic farmers. And we've carried out a number of experiments that would help us to stop burning. Of course, it would take some time. We've already done a number of experiments and we know it can work. So we've been already heading in the line of low carbon. We've been doing that for the past 4 years. So we are almost ready to go in larger scale, maintaining our soil fertility without burning. So these are some things that are happening in our local community, and I wish to let you know that.
Okay, I'm going to take 2 more questions. You've been waiting a long time, sorry.
It's a quick one. Just to follow up on the lady from the Norwegian government.
Could you identify yourself, sorry?
From Reuters. My name is Leslie. Just to get your name, first of all, and also you said that you will not compensate Guyana over a rate of deforestation of 0.3% until you have the final figures. When you have those final figures and they are still 0.3 or lower, will you then compensate up to 0.45? Or what will that happen? Do you have a plan for that? Thank you.
There's a process of consultation going on there. We'll get an answer in a minute.
Well, I think that this is a conversation we need to have between Norway and Guyana when we have those numbers, and I don't think we can start concluding on that now. My name is Marta Norstedt.
I think you might have to get that spelled later. But I just want to come back to this because it strikes me as a former journalist that your taxpayers could end up compensating Guyana, and I really understand the kind of dilemma that the President is in, but effectively they could compensate Guyana for increasing the deforestation. Do you really think that your people will be happy with that?
Well, if you read the MOU, Norway will not pay Guyana for increasing deforestation.
Okay, thank you very much. I think I'm going to take the last question. Is John Cracknell here? He is, right at the back. It goes to you, Mr. Cracknell.
Okay, I didn't have a specific question. Do you?
You didn't have a question. I was told you did. You had a burning question. If you don't, I'll take someone else.
There was some talk about talking about the Environmental Funders Network, which I can do, but I'd rather give someone from the floor a question.
Fine. The lady here in the jacket.
In the front.
Yeah, with the big red sticker.
Hi. I'm asking a question on behalf of Raphael Trotman, who's the leader of the opposition Alliance for Change Party. How do we ensure meaningful National Assembly involvement in such important processes as developing an LCDS and in overseeing REDD payments?
I'm surprised that Trotman would ask you to raise the question here when he could pick up the phone and call me. And when we tabled the LCDS in the National Assembly, they did not debate it. They walked out of the parliament.